in Memphis. It's 61 degrees up here, Brenden Mountain in Ocala, Florida. But I know
Barbie today.
Hey, you'd rather have this. Well,
hey, dude, I need
man.
to do. I need to do some. You know, I'm a bachelor, bro. I'm a bachelor with a 13-year-old daughter.
All right.
Sometimes you drink coffee out of a Barbie cup.
I'm sending you a Hewlett and Dunn coffee mug. That's coming tomorrow. Okay.
That's fine. Stella.
No, you still wear that though, because hey, I got two.
Anything cool, my daughter will take it.
Absolutely. I love Hallie and Mallory, and trust me, and Wilson and Max. Hey, great show today, man. Stack lineup. Do a favor. Take a picture of the QR code with your cell phone, not a picture of the cell phone with your QR code, which I sometimes say. But we got a lot live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and we got a great lineup today. Dave Bartoo checks in college football metrics. Man, he got some great information. Ben Troupe comes in live from Kennesaw, Georgia, just north of Atlanta.
By the way, Bartoo is in like Oregon or something like that. So
yeah, he's in Oregon.
You know,
he's
it's like
early
500-hour time difference. It's
2 hours. God love him.
Over there.
Dave is awesome. And we've also got Dudley, Dawson, Hogville.net up in Fayetteville, and Vince Ferrara from the Sports Animal in Knoxville, and the best executive producer who does things every time behind the scenes to make these shows work, and it's exceptional. 8 shows on this channel, more coming.
Oh, this is from last night's show where I drink energy drinks.
Energy drinks.
Now I'm on to coffee out of Barbie cups.
And, look, and by the way, and let's get started with, go ahead and get here with Dave Bartoo and Ben Troupe. And I know, look, Dave Bartoo's got a great company, the Lights Out Gummies, Pro Athletes Hemp Association. And I'm using these gummies, people. You will sleep like you did when you were 9 years old. You weren't thinking about bills and mortgages and student loans and stuff. But Dave, welcome aboard. It's early out there in Oregon. Ben Troupe, it's late by those standards, 3-hour time difference. But Dave, let's get started. You know, Ben played a little college football for the Florida Gators, made All-American with Steve Spurrier and Ron Zook, played in the NFL 5 years. You are the tip of the spear when it comes to numbers and making sense out of sometimes stuff we can't understand. But welcome aboard, both of you.
Good morning,
Dave. We're talking about college football starts tomorrow, Missouri and Central Arkansas, and then Friday night, Auburn, Baylor. Saturday, Texas, Ohio State, Auburn, or Clemson and LSU, Florida State and Alabama, Syracuse and Tennessee. There's so many good games. What are you seeing as a trend you think is going to happen this year in college football?
I don't know about a trend, because, to me, a trend takes years to develop, right? But a trend has to start somewhere. I've been trying to figure out the impact, specifically on the portal, early in the season with programs that have lost their head coach, whether it be a Power 4 or the G6. Power 4 seems to survive it much, much better. The G6s really seem to struggle. And I think that's one of the things that I'm looking on, for this week, even though it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
I'm looking at these programs that are cycling in a new head coach at the G6 level and seeing how that performance goes. Because right now the numbers are saying it doesn't hurt the Power 4 teams the first year. And it really hurts the group of 6 teams a lot when they make that transition, which is pretty understandable. But that's kind of one of the trends I've been chasing now for a little bit.
Yeah. And, Ben, he's talking about coaches, that have been replaced and guys coming and going. We'll kind of do a little rapid fire because there's a lot we want to cover. You stayed 4 years at Florida and you didn't ever transfer. How many times did it cross your mind, hey, man, I need to get out of here? And now that you look back on it, it would have been foolish.
I mean, it crossed my mind a lot. Because I think the thing about college football, even back when I played, was it's a lot of uncertainty because all the decisions are made behind the scenes. We have to live with them on the scene. We don't have any bearing on anything. Everybody wants to talk about how important the quarterback position is, which it is. But coaches are always thinking lateral. They're always thinking about how can I put myself in the best position to not have to worry about getting fired. People go, why would he take this job? Why would he take that job? Everybody doesn't want to deal with national championship or bust every year. Everybody want to deal with college football playoff or bust. Sometimes, hey man, can I coach here for 20 years, make bowl games, and be left alone?
Yeah.
And I have a success is looked at different when you talk about the coaching carousel. But I think the trend for this year is, do we have the right coach? Because if you're in the G5 or the G4 or P4 and you're not trending upward and you're looking at those around, you don't get judged by what you're doing. You get judged by those around you and what they're doing. Hey man, look at them over there. Look at what they're doing. And it shouldn't be that way. But if Bob Stoops' brother makes $9 million to coach football at Kentucky, we are in a total different world now when you talk about the expectations of some of these schools. But it always comes down to this: how long your coach been there? Do you have a quarterback? And can both of those guys gel? Because you want to win the national championship, but sometimes just making it to the college football playoff is just enough perception to get them boosters to dig in their pockets just a little deeper.
Yeah. Dave Bartoo, respond to the man from Swainsboro.
Oh, there's no question in my mind that Ben is dead on there. When you start talking about coaches I've dealt with when I build staffs, you got guys that are upward mobile, right? I mean, I'm working with a guy that, let's say he's trying to build a staff, and I know he wants to be gone in 3 years. He wants a bigger and better job. Versus the guy that is trying to, maintain his staff and maintain coaching continuity. And I think more so, speaking of trends, I'm curious if what Ben was talking about, the money is there. If you can perform well, Mark's going to get fired. And, you have an opportunity to build something rather than constantly be chasing a paycheck because the pay is so good. Do we start seeing more guys that are just like, especially good coaches, I'm good here. I can just be here for a long time. Can we see a Matt Rule, who we saw chase jobs, right? Temple, Baylor, NFL, Nebraska. Is he the kind of guy that goes, I'm cool here at Nebraska, even with the pressure? They're never going to win a national title again. But even with that pressure being a little bit less than maybe some of the other schools, are we going to start seeing that a little bit more, guys sticking around because the money is good enough to not have to chase that higher paying job?
Yeah, last year we didn't have a single coach fired in the SEC. Do you think we're going to see that trend of like Ohio State goes and grabs Chip Kelly, comes for 1 year, they win it all? You just say to the head coach, you stay here. It's too expensive to replace you and all your assistants and bring in another staff.
No, I don't know about that. They weren't going to fire Ryan Day. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Right. And Chip was already off to the NFL this time last year in August. Yeah. Right. It was one and done. It was just something that worked out. He got out of UCLA, landed in a good spot. Everybody won with that one. But I think that's more of an anomaly than reality there. I think the one trend we are trying to see, though, and we've been talking about it a long time, is more and more head coaches trying to become the CEO. They're the head coach on game day, but they're organizing everything else, and they're letting their offensive defensive coordinators really be the coaches of those units more than ever.
Ben, as a player, how frustrating is it to have coaches coming and going, or do you just expect it?
I mean, it just comes with it. It just comes to what you signed up for. I think when you start talking about the players, and we're still 17, 18, 19. We got to make grown-up decisions, but we got teens next to our ages, and no one really talks about that. And I get it now more than ever, but now, I'm a grown man. I got kids, I got a wife, I'm paying bills. But back then, I'm making grown-up decisions, and I wasn't old enough to sign my own. I wasn't able to sign for myself when I got to Florida because I wasn't 18 yet. They was like, you ain't 18? Where are your parents at? But here I am, signed on the dotted line. I'm not mad at coaches for making lateral moves. I think we need to stop being so critical to these players who all I got is transfer portal. All I got is a little leverage that I had coming into college. And outside of being quarterbacks, most of them ain't getting picked up. Look at the FCS and how littered it is with all this D1 talent. How did that happen? Transfer portal. the place you thought you was going, you ain't get to go.
Yeah.
But now these smaller schools, and you know what helps that out more than anything else, even though there is the G4. Ashton Jeanty did more for the G4 than any player in the last 10 years because he was arguably the best player in the country, and he didn't go to LSU. He didn't go to Auburn. He didn't go to Ohio State. That's what I think the parity in the college football is becoming is you mean that everybody can say if you're good enough, they will find you, but where's the evidence? Okay, there go Ashton. Now, he's only one, but sometimes that's all you need. These coaches, I think now more than ever, they want security. They saying, dude, we're not going to win at all. Look at no matter what we do, the other teams are doing it times 10. And the time it takes a smaller school to get a new locker room, bigger schools done renovated 3 times.
Yeah.
And people say, why does that matter? If you don't think an 18-year-old want to know what it's like to ride in a G5 Learjet, go to one of these locker rooms. Like, dude, this is what they do. They recline back, stuff like that. So you got to have the facilities, you got to have the boosters, you got to have the resources, you got to have the players. And most of these teams are lucky to get one of those. Yeah. They're lucky to get one of those. But if you got everything, Michigan, Ohio State are the last 2 teams to win the national championship. The big bad SEC ain't won it. But the Ohio State and Michigan know this. They coming, man. The SEC, it is coming. And outside of Notre Dame, I don't know what the ACC going to do. That's even with Clemson, trending upward.
Yeah, that's a great take. All right. Speaking of Clemson, Dave, I wanted to ask you what your thoughts are on LSU going to Clemson Saturday night in Death Valley. It's in a valley. That's why they call it Death Valley. But, Dave, we could talk Clemson, LSU, Auburn, Baylor, and Texas, Ohio State. Your thoughts on those games, and we'll bounce it back and forth with this distinguished panel of football scholars, Dave Bartoo and Ben Troupe.
Well, with Clemson, LSU, to me, the intriguing matchup, because as you know, I deal in or I work in staffing, and we've been grading coaches since 2010 at every position. And so I look at these 2 coaching staffs, and really what stands out for me, because you got 2 returning starting quarterbacks, but from a coaching standpoint, you got one head coach graded significantly higher than the other, advantage Clemson. Okay. Even though Brian Kelly, for his career, has been a damn good coach, you're still taking Dabo. Offensive coordinator, no question. Garrett Riley versus Sloan. That's like me. That's like me trying to match up a linebacker against Ben Troupe. No way. Okay. And then defensive side of it, I'm not sold. I'm not sold on Allen. Okay. At Clemson. But Dabo has been able to put together some pretty good defenses in his career. So I think the defensive coordinator is pretty even. And then you got the home field. So, you add all those things up, and without looking at the line, I would say Clemson should be the favorite team, which they are. But I'm curious to see if they can execute on they don't have a talent edge. I mean, LSU's produced the third most NFL starts in the last 10 years. LSU is always loaded, okay? That should be a national championship level team year in and year out. But I think in this case, I think coaching wins this game, and I'm really curious to see if that plays out this weekend.
Yeah. Ben, real quick, respond to that, and then we're going to bounce back and tag on Auburn and Baylor after this.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing about Brian Kelly, though, what's different about this game is he got to prove he can win a season opener. I mean, I know that he's so sick of dealing with Florida State the last couple of years, right? He got a quote Heisman Trophy, hopeful. I don't think that's why he's going to win it. But now Clemson got a quarterback. And when Clemson is really, really good when they got a quarterback. And when people say Dabo ain't that good when they got a quarterback, no coach is. There ain't a coach in the country that's good if your quarterback ain't good. But when Clemson is good, real good, they got a quarterback. And I think for a guy like Dabo Swinney, he's one of the best coaches that gets so much criticism out. He all right. No, that's a future Hall of Fame coach we talk. And once again, he's been there a long time. So I think it's going to be a really, really good game. But here's the thing about LSU. Can they finish? They'll come out on fire. Can they finish third and fourth quarter? Because the last couple of years, I'm like, dude, y'all are nail biters against Florida State. and then you lose it to them. And this is the same Florida State team last year that went overseas and lost to Georgia Tech. Who knows where they're going to be this year? But I think just from a perception standpoint, LSU needs them more than Clemson, because Clemson going to still have their way in the ACC.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly needs to prove that, hey, man, the school you left just lost in the national championship. The only time you went to the SEC championship was your first year. And the only time you look good is when you got a Heisman hopeful at quarterback. You got a lot of those things this year. But if you come out and lose, them Boo Birds are already coming out. I know he got his normal accent now. He ain't got a Cajun accent anymore. Yeah. We'll see what Brian Kelly shows up on Saturday.
Yeah, that great take. All right. Let's switch gears. The Auburn Tigers.
What's that sound like, Smoke? You got a little. You want to give me a little bit of taste of that? What it sounds like with the Cajun accent, not the Cajun accent.
I can do. All right, let's talk Dave Bartoo. Auburn and Hugh Freeze travel out to play Baylor. Man, I've been reading some of Doug Dean, and you were on with Doug back this summer in the Dose. A lot of really good takes on this game. Dave Aranda, familiar with SEC style of play. Hugh Freeze, last couple of years, they found more ways to lose games than any team I can remember. But the talent has been upgraded. What happens when Auburn goes to Waco?
They got to win. I mean, to me, this is a pretty pressure-packed game. I think a lot of this is a lot like LSU. Like Ben said, you lose, Boo Birds are coming, right? They're going to be booing at halftime if you're trailing in game one. And I think Auburn is under the same. I think Brian Kelly and Hugh Freeze are probably under the same or similar levels of pressure and expectations. Both of these programs, I mean, you're talking two top 11 high school recruiters of the last 25 years. Yeah. And the top 11 of the last 25 years have won 23 of the national titles. So that's where Auburn should be. That's where LSU should be, right? So to me, this game, I think all the pressure is on Auburn. They're on the road. Coaching staff-wise, I think it's pretty even. I lean the talent, especially early in September. I think Auburn's going to figure out a way to win this football game, but I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on them going into this one.
Yeah. Ben, quickly, Auburn, Baylor, offensive line, defensive line for Auburn's a lot better. And Dave's right. They're the number 11 roster on the Blue Chip Index. Auburn is. They've upgraded it from when Freeze took over. In my opinion, and plenty of people will back me up, it was the worst roster in my lifetime at Auburn.
David Aranda is 31-30 since he's been at Baylor. You ask the average, and sometimes this is what college football comes down to. You ask the average person, where's Auburn at? The team isn't Auburn. Where's Baylor at? Baylor? You can't lose to teams like that. You can't lose to teams that the average person don't even know where they are. And I'm talking to people in Texas now. I'm talking about people in Texas. Where's Baylor? Baylor? Man, that's where RG3 went, right? Yeah. I'm just
because then you hear where Baylor is, and you're like, what that place?
I'm just saying. I mean, Texas got they got 1,500 colleges, and people don't know that Baylor's one of them. They're one of them there, right? Hugh Freeze got to show why he got hired. It can't be based off what he can do. You got to do it, because Auburn is not one of these teams that, hey, man, we can have okay seasons. Auburn's a part of the college football fabric. What? Four first rounds in 2004. You can't do that. And I get it. He had nothing to do with what happened before he got there, but he's not helping boost the reputation right now. Yeah. And no matter what you want to say about SEC, it is reputation fueled. If you're not winning, my reputation better not take a hit. And right now, people are saying, what's going on with Auburn? They don't have a no-name coach. They got Hugh Freeze, the guy that won at Ole Miss, had a situation, then go to Liberty. Now he gets to come back. A lot of them fans are saying, dude, do we got the right dude? Because I'm going to say this. Yeah. People are saying, Cadillac Williams could have done this. But what Hugh Freeze is doing, Cadillac Williams could have done this. Probably could have done it a little better with some better recruits. So I think once again, just like a Brian Kelly, SEC schools can't lose first games unless it's an Ohio State. And Texas don't have to win that one, right? Yeah. Because I just think that if David Aranda, he's telling his team, look, man, everybody wants to beat SEC schools, whether it's in bowl games or non-conference games. Because everybody seems to think the SEC is, it's more, a lot of sizzle, no steak. If you are Auburn, you better find a way to get this win. It don't matter how you do it. No one cares about an ugly win, right? Because you had some ugly losses last year. So for Hugh Freeze, he knows what he has to do.
Yeah, just find excuses to win. Ben will be back. Dave, Next one.
Yeah.
Texas goes to Ohio State. Had a really interesting conversation. By the way, I got Pete's book a couple of days ago. This stuff
Nice.
is awesome. And you see it here, making the grade. You talk about some technical information. I mean, Pete's got a checklist on every position, running back specifics, things he looks for. And I tell you, Pete could get you fired up to go to your own hanging. I mean, guy is an incredible recruiter. Texas goes to the shoe Saturday. Both teams have quarterbacks without a lot of experience. What happens Saturday? Big noon Saturday.
God, I really don't even know what's going to happen. And again, from a pressure standpoint, I think it's all on Texas. Dude, Ohio State just won a national title. Yeah. I mean, I know the fans want to win at home, and I know they want to beat Texas, but if Texas beats Ohio State, I think we're all just like, okay, we kind of expect that. You know, Texas has got to be the hungry one here, but Steve Sarkisian annually finds a way to underperform the talent, like his whole career, not just once every other year. It's like every single year. And I always talk about windows of opportunity. And to me, this is a window for Texas to take advantage of a Ohio State team that has a new OC. Think about this. You're going to play a team with a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, a new quarterback, and probably mentally might even be down from winning a national title, because we know every other team falls apart after they win a national title. Hell, Texas did it. They climbed the mountain for 20 years with Mac Browne and immediately fell off the cliff off the backside. So to me, there's all the pressures on Texas. They have to win this game. You're not getting a better opportunity to start a season like this. And I think it goes back to what Ben says. You got to win week one and you're in the SEC, or the Boo Birds coming out early.
Yeah. Well, I got a question from Dash Riprock. Wanted to ask Dave Bartoo.
Dash Riprock?
Yeah, Dash Riprock.
Yeah.
He was one of the guys on the Beverly Hillbillies that was courting Ellie Mae. Remember Dash Riprock? Okay. So Dash Riprock said, ask Dave the start count. So how many starts does a quarterback need to have in college to be set up for success in the NFL? And there are a lot of variables.
Okay. No, not set up for success. Not set up for success. A minimum number of starts if your name isn't Cam Newton to have a shot at being successful. You know, understand most guys that are drafted aren't successful, especially at the quarterback level. Okay. But if you look at one of the key trends that I've always looked at is snaps taken in college and how number of starts. And outside of Cam Newton, there is not a single quarterback, to my knowledge, that has been successful in the NFL that didn't take snaps for at least 2 seasons. So, you know, all these quarterbacks, people talking like about Arch Manning coming out after this year. Look, I don't think he's going to make it no matter when he comes out. But if he only goes 1 season and comes out, I'll bet against that all day long.
Yeah. Ben Troupe, you've been in the NFL. None of us have. We've watched a lot of games. By the way, I've got a box full of Tennessee Titans stuff from Michael Jordan, gave me, season ticket holder. One of the bobbleheads is former running back Chris Johnson. Pretty good player. But what do you think happens? Texas goes to Ohio State Saturday, because we got more games, so we'll rapid fire this real quick.
Number one, man, I think we are blessed as college football fans. I mean, you get Texas Ohio State week 1, number 1 versus number 2. That's some crazy stuff. I will say this. I do agree, though. All the pressure is on Texas. Ryan Day gets to know what it feels like to put his feet up. God, finally did it. Finally won the national championship. Now it's going to ramp up. Sarkisian has never lacked talent. Never. No matter wherever he's been. And he just finds a way to not get it done. Texas has been a long time. We talk about, you know, I don't even know how many starts Vince Young had when he was at Texas, right? And I got to play with Vince Young. Arch Manning is either going to live up to it or he going to fall flat, because the hype they putting on this young man, comparing him to Tim Tebow, and he didn't have nothing to do with that. Archie came out, he's speaking to people, telling my grandson's not coming out. I don't believe that one bit, but we'll see what happens. I think I think Ohio State makes it a game because they're at home. I think Texas, once again, from a perception and reputation, they got to find a way to win. Because if not, whatever they do the rest of the season, people will say, yeah, but y'all can't beat teams that meet y'all talent threshold. If you can't beat the teams that meet the talent threshold, every other team you play, they're going to say, yeah, you're going to have your way. It's like last year in the SEC Championship. Had a chance to win it, didn't win it. Beat Alabama, so they're going to have some moments, but I think that either Arch Manning is going to say, hello, world, here I am, or he's just an athletic Peyton. He's just really, really athletic, and he can't beat teams that are good enough to beat him. So I'm looking forward to seeing it, though. I think Arch is as good as it comes, but he hasn't played anybody yet. He ain't played nobody really. And I agree. 2 years of starting in college football, because I've seen you win and lose more or less. How do you deal with adversity after losing? That's what I want to see from a quarterback. Guys that play 1 year outside of Cam Newton, who's a freaking mutant, it's going to be hard for those guys to be good in the National Football League.
Ben Troupe has spoken. Dave Bartoo. I got to tell you, I love Dave Bartoo. You're getting ready to drive to Sac State, you said.
I'm
loading up the family truck.
As soon as we're done here, man, I'm literally firing up the truck.
The sun is just coming up behind you. Like,
yeah, the sun is
literally.
Dave, hey, Dave, before you go, I want you to say, I mean, Ben and I were talking last night after we were on the lowdown with Lauren Meadows about you and your company. And Ben played in the NFL 5 years, what it does to your body. Talk about your company, Lights Out, and the Pro Athlete Hemp Association before you go, because I know you got to get on the road. And I want Ben to hear what y'all do. Ben, you may have friends that could benefit.
Ben might be a little bit familiar with what we do, but we've been in business now for a half a decade, and we started this with the premise of trying to find natural solutions for NFL alumni, for aches, pains, sleep problems, you name it. And so, Rob, as you know, the sleep products we have, the sleep gummies, the liquid Lights Out, has been a great success for us and has helped a lot of folks with sleep issues. I don't have sleep issues, so I had no idea how many people that have them. And so we've been doing that for a little bit, and you can see the coupon code there and the QR code. Go ahead and give it a try, folks. If you got aches and pains, if you got trouble sleeping, this is one hell of a natural remedy for those kind of things.
Yeah. Ben, what's it like, your body trying to sleep for 8 hours uninterrupted?
It's the greatest. I mean, it's one of those things where, people have made, gummies and, cannabis. It is not the boogeyman. Me and my mom will argue right now. There is no such thing as weed addicts. He's addicted to no. What it is this. If you've never used it, you're afraid to use it because you're going to like it and it's going to work. And then you got to go back and say, hey, man, all them lies I used to tell people, I didn't know what, taking all these, some guys just to make it from Saturday to Saturday to play on Sunday, you just have to see it. And when they say, hey, man, the greatest player I've ever had the privilege of playing with was Steve McNair. You know what he did before every game? He took a nap. If Steve would have had these Lights Out gummies, he going to miss the kick. He going to miss the kickoff now. We're going to have to go wake him up.
Yeah.
But I will say to every current player, future player, former player, just try before you knock it. Because sometimes you listen to what somebody else said, right? But if it enters your house, count how many gummies you got. You started with 10, you only ate one, but it's only 4 in the pack. Somebody else in that house is eating them gummies. And probably your lady.
Well,
I'm just telling you.
Well, you know what?
Yeah, I tell you what, they work.
I had I won't go into it. We have guests in the room, but I was in a facility once with a guy named Jack Kemp, former quarterback, U.S. congressman, or senator, excuse me, and was a good friend, passed away. God bless him. But, we would talk about how the guys from the early days in the NFL and how they got through and what they did and how they did it. And it was just like a bottle of Excedrin, and a pint of whatever to get them to go to sleep, just to get through aches and pains.
Yeah.
And it eventually consumed my friend Jack. I met him many years ago when I took a tour in rehab, and I met Jack Kemp there, which is a very interesting place. And I'm very open about all that because I'm sober and all that today. But I'm just saying, that right there, we talked about the impact that could have had on a player, an NFL athlete, or somebody who didn't have access to the proper medications and understand. So I very much so appreciate what you do in general for people I know who are athletes, but also in general for the population. So if you all really consider this is not just a joke. This is a real thing.
They absolutely, because I'm in that camp that Ben was talking about with his mom, and I'm using them. And I got 4 kids. Trust me, I've seen this, but this stuff works. And look, Dave, I know you got to get on the road, take your son or your daughter to college. Man, I remember those days.
This is work, baby. This
Okay.
is
what are you talking about? Rob will just make stuff up.
I thought you were going to college. I'm sorry.
No, look, this is work. Well, we've spent the last 3 years on using kinematics. Which is the math of kinesiology, to be able to identify foundational athleticism, D1 athleticism in athletes at a younger age. And so, for example, if I had the numbers on Ben Troupe when he was 11, or when he was 12, or when he was 13, I guarantee you he had a D1 foundational athleticism score, and we would have identified him before he ever went to a camp. If he lived in the middle of nowhere and couldn't afford it, we'd still find him. So our goal in this is finding more kids that deserve the opportunity to be seen, that can't afford camps and so forth. And we've submitted our application to the NCAA to become a certified recruiting scouting firm under the NCAA, and we're hoping that once that's approved, we'll be able to use these analytics to give more kids, especially ones at a lower socioeconomic level, a shot at earning scholarships at the collegiate level.
So, look, we run, guys. This is awesome. I'm gonna get you 2 on again sometime, because Ben Troupe, 84 Reasons podcast, one of the good guys in sports. You can follow him, and also Dave Bartoo, College Football Matrix. I know y'all got a big day ahead of you. Thanks more than you know for sharing your time with us. This is as real as it gets. And all of you watching, these 2 guys on this screen opposite Brenden and myself are 2 of the absolute best. Thank y'all so much.
Appreciate y'all.
That was Brenden. That's a cool conversation, and I'm telling you,
we got to bring in our other guests.
We're gonna bring in Dudley Dawson from Hogville. Look at the back. Dudley lives in the stadium. He's moved into his apartment. Vince Ferrara is at Sandals in the Bahamas right now, and Vince is recovering from the hip surgery, doing great. Dudley's about to call the Hogs. What an awesome background! It is a Wednesday morning. August the 27th. Can you believe it? Tomorrow college football starts. Is there anything better than this time of year when everybody's undefeated besides playing the first game?
Not at all, man. I hate August. Hate August till the end of it. Don't like watching practice. Don't like watching scrimmages. I like watching things that count. And got to see some count games last weekend. They were okay. Then one in Dublin, Ireland was okay. Good friend Taylor McGregor got to tell us all about how the Irish people don't know how many points there is you get when you score a touchdown. But yeah, I'm excited. Full on day of actions starting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah, UCA, the Bears playing against Missouri tomorrow night. Again, they're keeping score. That's all that matters. Vince, again, you're recovering. You're back on in the studio in Knoxville on the Hill. I'm married to Evolve for Life. She goes, ask Vince this question. Do the Tennessee cheerleaders have to do push-ups for every point they score? And are they physically – do you go through a fitness test? Because Josh Heupel's there. They score a lot of points.
You would ask me something I don't know. I don't
Shame
know
on
that.
you, Audrey.
Great question. I don't know the answer to that. I guess I've been locked in on this on the team, so we'll try to find that answer.
I didn't know that was a thing. I actually didn't even know that they did push-ups for every
point. Yeah,
really,
It's intense.
Yeah, and Josh Heupel scores a lot of points, but that's one of the things that needs to be better this year, and that's
offense in SEC play, and they need more explosive play. So yeah, they were destroying teams and scoring 70 points in seemingly a game in their non-conference schedule last year, and then it went back to middle of the pack after that. And they were a running team and defensive team, so they got to be more balanced this year, because that defense will still be really good. I think they'll be able to run the ball, but gotta get back to the explosive passing game. See if they have that recipe this year.
Dudley, this is the first game. Arkansas is playing Alabama A&M. It's more about Arkansas getting better. Give me 2 or 3 things you want to see Arkansas do well in spite of playing an overmatched opponent.
I'm sorry to be so Newport about this, but run the ball and stop the run. I mean, that's the 2 things that they need to do well. Should be able to do that well in this game, even though I think Sham Shade's a good guy, and obviously was a great football player. He's starting his career coaching there at Alabama A&M, and brought a lot of Miles College guys along with him, including his 7th year quarterback who's going to play in the game. But I'm looking forward to the game, but it should be, over quickly, and you should get to play a lot of people, and another KJ will play quarterback, KJ Jackson.
Yeah. And that's
well.
speaking.
What does it mean to be Newport about it? I just would like to clarify.
Bill Keaty was our Newport coach, and we ran a pretty balanced attack.
Okay.
We threw the ball. We threw the ball left once, in the middle once, and right once, and run it 62 times.
But
so
I'm sorry. I just you always have this great saying. So I'm always looking for a deeper meaning. I didn't realize it was on the nose. So.
Yeah, and another question.
I figured there's a few Arkansas people listening to this.
Yeah,
so
there are.
As my Easter egg to them, or whatever.
Chris Aiken's a regular over there at Blue Jays in Grubbs, home of the peanut butter pie with a meringue that thick. The pie weighs 8 pounds. One pie, 8 pounds. Vince, speaking of the age limit, a 24, 25-year-old quarterback, if Jethro Bodine had made it out of high school to college, he'd have been in his 40s. I'm just going to say that. But, Vince, Tennessee right now, the quarterback, it looks like, obviously Joey Aguilar is the starter. I want you to tell us about those backups. Merklinger from Calvary Day School in Savannah, Georgia, and also George McIntyre Jr. or the third. They say he's like 6'6", like a pencil. He's so thin, but there's obviously some talent there. And who's working with them the most?
Well, certainly, just to tell you what a big difference in age there is between the 1 and the 3. Merklinger is the 2, McIntyre is the 3, the true freshman, even though Tennessee did not release a depth chart this week. So Tennessee has gotten into this business with other schools, the Michigans and others, that decline in sharing a depth chart. Now, depth charts, they're not the be-all, end-all, as a lot of us know, because they put a lot of ors in there. So what do they really tell you anyway? It's still fun and interesting, and I just think, it's just so overrated what the value or the competitive edge that other schools get from depth charts. It's silly, but that's coaching for you. They don't want any edge in any little thing, so they will do that. So we don't know officially who's the 2 and the 3. Merklinger, though, has an extra year in the system, an extra year to have developed. He was inconsistent. We saw peaks from George McIntyre, the true freshman. He's probably got the best arm talent of the 3. He put on 15 pounds, maybe even more since the last time we talked to him, and he told us that. But he still is thin. He's similar to Nico in build when he got to Tennessee. Just needs to keep adding weight and be SEC ready to take those hits. So, you want to get those guys playing time, but you want to do it in a blowout situation. You don't want to have to force either one of them in there. I honestly, I think it's kind of dicey and really an unknown on how Merklinger especially is going to handle that. So we'll see. Neither one of them I would expect would get much action unless Tennessee runs away from Syracuse in that game. But it's unproven. That's the best way to kind of describe those. But there is certainly talent there. Merklinger was a 4-star, and then McIntyre started out as a 5-star and then ended up as a high 4-star. So and you want to get them, you want to ease them in, you don't want to force them in if
And I'll be there Saturday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium at big noon for the Tennessee Syracuse game. Look forward to seeing you.
okay.
Yeah.
You'll be able to get a Chick-fil-A on that day.
Hey,
Not
absolutely.
the next one.
That's right.
Absolutely. There's a Chick-fil-A right attached. It's within the College Football Hall of Fame. It's really cool. And the manager, I went there every morning, although they provided us with a breakfast. I would go down there and just eat breakfast every day at the Chick-fil-A, really just to tell them how much I enjoy being around people with such a positive attitude. That stuff is a big deal to me. Dudley, quarterback situation, I think Talon Green is really good. He's grown from 6'6". You got him at 6'8". Iowa years ago had a quarterback who was like 6'10" or something like that. I can't remember his name, but I want you to tell us about the talent around him. Talon Green, wide receivers.
First of all, let me specify that I was joking about him being 6'8".
Oh, okay.
He is 6'6".
Okay.
I mean, when I stand next to him, he looks like a power forward. He looks 6'8". But they are excited about him, as most people are, in the second year of a Bobby Petrino quarterback who has, a chance to work with him. I think they really feel good about what he's going to be able to do. In all honesty, he threw the ball deep well last year. It was the over the middle routes and outs and all that where he got in trouble making some decisions. Now he was running for his life most of the time, and they do feel like they've short up the offensive line, so that should be a deal. And obviously, they've got a running back named Mike Washington. Been doing a lot of background stuff on him. In fact, talking to some people in New York this week who are excited about what Fran Browne is doing at Syracuse and excited about the opportunity to play Tennessee. But I'm looking forward to watching this offense. In defense, I'm a little wait and see on it. I feel good about what they've got over there, but I want to see it go against somebody else, before I pronounce it better than it was last year. I do know that they have more bodies they feel confident about over there. And then the only other thing, we were talking about, older people in college athletics. Arkansas will have a 30-year-old wide receiver named Monte Harrison, who played several years in Major League Baseball. He'll be in his second year. They're looking for big things from him. And then you got a 17-year-old named Antonio Jordan from Warren, Arkansas, who won't play in this game. He's got a high ankle sprain, but they expect him to be a big-time wide receiver. And neither one of those guys are started, but they have a chance to be studs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, the range from 17 to 30. Vince, looking at Tennessee, what about Joey Aguilar concerns you, and what is Josh Heupel really good at in terms of taking a new quarterback who's been there for a minute, but he didn't get there till after spring practice. So Joey didn't get to go through spring practice because he spent a semester at UCLA, a semester abroad in today's world. But talk about that.
Yeah, one of the things when you asked me about the backup quarterbacks at Tennessee, I was going to mention is the age difference between Aguilar and George McIntyre. Joey Aguilar is 24 and George McIntyre is just 18, so 6 years difference. But I mean, then Dudley's got 30 and 17, so that's nothing compared to that at Arkansas. But as far as what is the most concerning, and that's the interceptions. There was the first scrimmage where Aguilar threw a pick six to a walk-on, and everyone made a big deal about that. I don't know. I wasn't there. That's closed. I don't know what was involved. Did the receiver run a bad route? Was it a tip pass? What happened in that situation? So it's hard to just judge. Oh, there's Aguilar. He's throwing picks again. It's hard to say. I mean, they want him to make tight window throws. They don't want him to be a reckless gunslinger, but this is a crazy stat. All of Joey Aguilar's interceptions last year at App State were when App State was tied or trailing. None of his interceptions were when they were leading. So that kind of tells you that some of those picks were him trying to bring his team back, and they weren't that good last year like they were in 2023 when his numbers were much better. Also, an interesting thing is a lot of his interceptions came back in their own territory. So that's, concerning too. That's the spot on the field you don't want to take those risks. So, but what were the circumstances involved in that? So just things to look for. But my point is him protecting the football. He has to go back to the way all Tennessee quarterbacks under Heupel have been, and that's protecting the football. And when you do protect the football, turnovers, man, it is the biggest stat that leads to winning. So you can not be explosive and all that kind of fun stuff. If you have defense and run game, at least you have a shot if you don't turn the ball over. If you turn the ball over, then those other things are really taken away from you, and it limits your chances to be in contention for what you want to be. So, but he's done a good job of connecting with his teammates as soon as he got on campus, bonding with them, throwing with the receivers. They've been limited in working with the receivers in camp because guys were out with injuries early on, but they got pretty much everybody back now. And Heupel named him the starter 2 weeks before the season started, so they've had more time to work together. So I think Aguilar's done the best he can under the circumstances, but definitely the turnovers, completion percentage were some things that he'll need to be better than he was at App State. But he's also got more around him, a run game, I think different level of coaching. So we'll see what it looks like, but he's definitely got some things to work with that are positive for Tennessee.
That's a great take. Dudley, when you look at Bobby Petrino, everywhere he goes, he's successful with his offense. Again, it's year 2. I just think there's a lot of recency bias when people look at predicting the SEC, whatever. If you put Bobby Petrino in a second year at Georgia or Florida or LSU, the expectations would be off the charts. You think that's fair for me to say that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the guy has a track record, and we can sit here and say, yeah, the quarterback's going to be second, but you can go back and look. Whether he was here at Arkansas, Brenden Allen is still in the NFL. I mean, he doesn't start that much. He's maybe started 5 games over his career, but he's a quarterback that really, was a good quarterback here in Arkansas, but got to work under Coach Petrino, and that kind of moved him, further down the line. The one thing that I want to kind of piggyback on what Vince was saying, Taylon Green has incredible skill. Cannon arm, the ability to run. I've said it many times, and I think the biggest thing that's going to help him this year is I equate it to a basketball game. He is not going to throw. He's not going to have a turnover that ends up in them dunking on the other end. Yeah. And that happened far too often last year. And kind of what Vince was saying, it seems to me, and I have to go back and look at it, but it seems to me that most of his interceptions came when Arkansas was leading, kind of different than what he's talking about with Aguilar. There always seemed to be a lead, and it was a backbreaker. And if they didn't run it in, on the interception, they got it down there on the other end. And it was just, I think that's the biggest step he can take this year, is to not allow points off his turnovers. I don't think there'll be as many turnovers, and I think he will have adapted under Coach Petrino and know that here's the thing, dude. You don't have to throw it to your team, but don't throw it to the other one.
Yeah, great point. I agree. I mean, Vince, what about Syracuse presents the biggest challenge to Tennessee? I mean, Fran Browne, familiarity with the SEC, 3 years on Kirby's staff at Georgia, so he's not a virgin to what he's going to face.
I think it's the unknown of their personnel, especially on offense, because they had, so much turnover from last year. They had the number 1 passing offense in the nation. I don't know how many people know that or remembered that. That's how prolific Kyle McCord was. I mean, setting ACC records. Wow. Now, their schedule wasn't the most difficult. They avoided some of the top teams in the ACC. Some of the teams on their schedule, like NC State, weren't as good. I was a common opponent with Tennessee, weren't as good as they were supposed to be. So they took advantage of it, and they still won 10 games last year. So they deserve the credit, but they haven't had an elite receiver, an elite quarterback, and the schedule worked in their favor. So that's all different now. How is Steve Angeli, the former Notre Dame quarterback, how is he going to play? That's the key. If they still have enough talent, in my opinion, to be a very good offense, even if it's not number one in the nation, to be good if Angeli is good. What do we see from Steve Angeli? If that name sounds familiar, from Notre Dame, is he had to come in a semifinal playoff game and lead Notre Dame on a scoring drive and did really well in that drive. So he didn't stay in the game, because Riley Leonard came back, but it was an important drive for Notre Dame and them, winning that. And he's got a small sample size, but he's looked good, looked really poised, and has had a good camp from all accounts. So if they get that position right, they've brought in some transfers, like a Jonte Cook at wide receiver. They have all new. They brought in 5 transfer offensive linemen. 4 are going to start, so they're completely new up front. How do those transfers mesh in? There's just a lot of new with the Syracuse team, even on defense. On defense, they weren't good at all last year, but they're new. They have a few transfers, but they also had some defensive linemen that were out for the year that they're getting back. So just being able in the first game, having all that even more unknown and having to go back to each individual player's previous transfer portal, stop to kind of scout them and then try to figure out how it comes together. That's probably the biggest challenge that Syracuse presents, going into this game.
And I mean, it is going to be a great atmosphere. I mean, Gary Stokan and the Atlanta Sports Authority and all the Kickoff Classic. It's 2 games back to back. Sunday, of course, South Carolina and Virginia Tech. Guys, just a few minutes before we close out, bouncing around this league, give me a couple of teams that you think are pretty damn good. But again, because I'm telling you, once you get west of the Mississippi, I think we need an SEC network hub in Little Rock to cover out west, because I think Eli Drinkwitz, you probably know him. I think the guy's a damn good coach. Probably the best dressed guy at media days. He wears a blue and white seersucker suit, and he just tells it like it is. And he's a St. Louis Cardinals fan. Has to be by law.
He used to coach. Yeah, he used to coach just down the street from me here with Gus Malzahn was one of his jobs. Yeah. And he certainly has transformed that Missouri program. I know that they're excited about this year because they recruited some guys from Arkansas that Arkansas would have loved to have had. So, he's been a very good coach. He's a different bird.
Of course.
He's a learned guy, But I mean, a couple of, I think South Carolina's going to be really good. I mean, they got their 7th-year guy, I guess, the running back ready to go now. And, I feel like that, they're just on the edge there of transforming the program. And it may sound ridiculous, but Vanderbilt, I'm a big fan of Diego Parva. And now all the other teams, I think, are going to be great. It's supposed to be great. I think there's going to be some, and I put Arkansas in this. This is not any surprise or anything. They're, picked 14th in the preseason. Right now, that's probably where I'd pick them too, if I had voted in that. So I'm anxious to see, what all happens. Arkansas has a favorable early part of the schedule, but then it really gets tough. The other thing I want to know, is that the bear from the studio, Vince? Okay.
No.
I've been sitting here looking at it and wonder if this bear travels with you.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's breaking through. I have a virtual background, but the bear is busting through the virtual background and appearing. He is physically behind me, and he's just showing up and busting through. So that's a great observation by you. Yeah, he's just popping in there.
Forensic broadcasting. I love this.
Scary, man. It's like
and
that.
Right on. And
like
right
that
on,
Annabelle
right on the
doll,
couch. It perfectly placed on the couch.
Absolutely. I mean, it looks comfortable.
Yeah, he looks very comfortable.
Ready for games.
Vince, similar question in about a minute or so before we close out. bounce around the SEC. Any stories that you see that we ain't talking about, but we better be paying attention to? I love Dudley's take. Brilliant.
Yeah, and I like South Carolina as well. And anytime you have a quarterback like that, it can be a difference maker, and running the ball can certainly help them. I'll say Ole Miss. I almost think they're being under discussed. I really like Austin Simmons. I mean, he was just really impressive at media days, and had another guy that everybody says has been really good at practice. Lane Kiffin can coach. And I know some people just can't get past the past with him, but he can coach, and he gets a lot out of his roster. They active in the portal. Interestingly, Ole Miss hosts South Carolina, and I think those two teams, that might be an elimination game for playoff contention, with a couple of maybe 2-loss type of teams there when they meet. So I think they're very similar, and they were really good on defense. Obviously lost some dudes up there, but they've also brought some in. So I will say Ole Miss is a different level of team, and I think this league is incredibly deep. You can make a case for a whole lot of teams to be better than they were a year ago. Almost everybody.
Yeah, I call it
I think the SEC Network should start a new crime show called Feinbaum and Kiffin. Yeah, I think just kind of add it to the mix. I think that'd be a great cop buddy show with with snippy little things with each other. I enjoy that one together, but I think that'd be a good show.
It would be, and I mean Lane Kiffin, he's been through a lot, man, and he's got all of his family, his ex-wife, they're all in Oxford. He wants to stay there, and you know what? The SEC, I've got a top 6, then I got another group of 5 and another group of 5. It's never been this competitive top to bottom. Watch out for Vandy, Diego Pavia. He's got that wrestler mentality. It's exciting. Look, we got to say goodbye. 2 of the best. Vince Ferrara, the sports animal in Knoxville, nonstop coverage. Nobody covers the Vols like Tennessee. The only thing bigger up there are the Great Smoky Mountains. And Dudley Dawson, love that background. Vince, see if you can get a Neyland Stadium background for next week, man. I might slip you a sack of crystals.
I can guarantee
I love it.
I can guarantee you that that's not what it will look like on Saturday, because it's Alabama A&M. Coming off 6-7 wins, that ain't gonna happen. But Notre Dame, that's what it'll look like.
Yeah, it'll be. But Vince, see if you can get the orange and white checkerboard next week, guys. Thank you so much for everything you do for our show, and Vince, keep getting better on the hip.
Yep, driving, hip's great. Second surgery scheduled, so we're in good shape. But I appreciate you guys.
All right, let's say something about our sponsors. We talked about Lights Out Gummies earlier. I want to say something about Landers Ford. You got to have wheels, got to have transportation. Start with a phone call to Brad Bellamy, Landers Ford, Memphis.com. Ask for Brad Bellamy, the general manager. These are great people. They are invested. They make money as a dealership, but they invest it back in the Mid-South, and so many great causes like the golf tournament, the Touchdown Club of Memphis, so many area high schools like Christian Brothers High School, all you CBHS grads out there, and there's thousands of you. Tom Nick Stadium, Landers Field, made a huge financial commitment. Give them your business. They've earned it. You will not be disappointed. Service department, exceptional. They'll provide round-trip transportation, pick you up, take you in there. Open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. A lot of opportunities to save big on vehicles. The Broncos, the F-150s, I'm telling you, the Ford Escape. They got cars, trucks, and SUVs in every price range. Get out there. Again, open every day of the week except Sunday. Right down the street from Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. I'm going to have Brenden a Hewlett and Dunn coffee mug. You can also wear Barbie because Stella likes that too. Absolutely. And they're getting in stuff every day. You can see the hats, the great shirts, Pendleton, Schaefer, Ariat, Wrangler, Filson, Barber. Wow, they're getting in a lot of Barber stuff. Men's and women's, kids' boots, Johnson and Murphy shoes, Devil Dog jeans, They've got Kimes Ranch. They've got these turtle boxes. Again, you can drop it in the water. As long as you get the seal clicked, it doesn't break. Hey, they're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m., 6 p.m. And Rumble Boxing, man, how you fight is how you live. Union and McLean open every day of the week at 5 o'clock in the morning. Hey, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Let that sink in, man. For executive producer Brenden Martin, I'm Rob Browne. Have a great day, everybody. Find excuses to win. We'll see you tonight.